It's
I
a
would like
show
to
that
see when there's like anime that's not supposed to be good anime, or like people are not really hyped for it, and then it's actually really good.
And I
Nice to
won't
see like
pretend
the
that Kojima's
underdogs.
praise
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, Parent here. Today we're looking at the best anime of every season from 2020 to 2023. Yeah, I guess this is literally just the best, or maybe the most popular. I'm not quite sure how this was counted. Anime of every season. The original video is in the description if you want to check it out. And if you want to check out anime episode reactions, check out the channel or check out Patreon for full uncut videos. But yeah, let's get into it. Best anime of every season from 2020 to 2023. Alright.
Greetings and welcome, anime lovers. Here's what we're going to do today. In today's video, we'll have a minor version of the decade in recap videos that I did a year or two ago. However, our scope is going to be for the past 3 years, and I'll be going through the notable shows of each season and what I think is the best new anime recommendation for the primary audience of the channel. So in this case, I'm talking about the action-loving kind of watchers, but I'll be giving other genres some love too, so please do watch out for those. And I'll obviously be excluding sequels for this one. I know you're excited for the video. In 2020, we opened with the winter season.
Vinland Saga.
Winter 2022 felt really special to me. Do you remember how you felt back then, being blissfully unaware of how the world would change in just a couple of months? There we were, happily watching anime and
about
enjoying
that.
the many things that the jam-packed anime season had to offer. The first shows that jumped out at me that I quickly watched and grew fond of were 2 game shows, technically speaking. Bofuri was a standout show in terms of plain fun entertainment. It's a chill show that doesn't take itself seriously, and with a cast of lovable characters and its overall atmosphere lending well to the overpowered newcomer shtick, it was a winner to me. The second one was Darwin's Game. I've had an appetite for death game
I've not
shows,
seen
and it
these.
just hit a lot of the
I'm not
right
gonna lie.
notes for me. I wouldn't call it an anime of the season, not in a long shot, but if you want an ensemble show that's a tad edgy and fast-paced, then this one could be your calling. And let's not forget Id Invaded. If you're up for something in the veins of Psycho Pass, something a little bit heavy but filled with action and thrills, then this is a show that you'd want to try out. However though, my top recommendation would be Dorohedoro.
Okay.
It's a sleeper hit, a dark action title that ended up being a lot better than I expected it to be. I was already
Oh my
hyped
god,
to
that's
follow Kaiman's
gruesome.
adventures in the dredges of Hull, but given the overall style of the manga with its violence, crass and dark humour, I didn't expect such a good adaptation. It's the show for you if you want something actiony that doesn't hold back with the mature content. I also dare say its success also helped ready the carpet for similar shows
I look
like
actually really
Chainsaw
sick.
Man.
That looked really good. I might have to give a shot. What is this? Plague Inc? I love zombie animes. I love zombie anything.
All was going well, and then disaster struck. No one, and I mean no one, foresaw that we'd be spending the rest of 2020 stuck in our homes, and neither did the anime industry. We got suspensions and delays everywhere, and spring 2020 was a season that was completely ravaged. If I was to look at the bright side of that, however, it was the fact that the insane number of delays allowed dark horses to ride up and make their mark, something that they might not have been able to do had they had to contend with the blockbusters of the season. Chief amongst those then, Gleipnir. This weird-looking show ended up filling the role of that season's main edgy action title, grabbing the hearts of fans with its unique setup and premise before dazzling everyone with some amazing fight animation. It felt like an underdog story of an anime, and when the season was over, it became one of the more memorable titles of spring 2020. I'd also like to give some love to 2 wholesome titles. Before its second season, Princess Connect Redive wouldn't have reached the impressive heights that I always praised it for. Still, the first season is a good chill show that feels like a wholesome take on Konosuba, complete with the same animation techniques and character emotes. There's also Kakushi Goto, which has a premise that could evoke memories of Iromanga Sensei. However, at the core of it is a very warm and cozy title, more reminiscent of Usagi Drop if anything. One hype title did survive the onslaught of the delays though, and it's my pick for the recommendation of the season. Tower of God brought to life one of the most popular Korean webtoons out there, and its transition to
Isn't
anime
Tower of
form
God
ended
like
up being
a
good. It's
MMORPG?
not exactly a perfect show, not by a long shot, and
Game
it ended
too?
before we could get to the more exciting parts.
Or am I
However, from the
tripping?
few episodes that it gave us, we can already see the potential that it has. If you're fond of adventure shows with great world building, then this one's for you.
Summer 2020.
Summer 2020 was a wild season. We finally got the much-awaited climaxes of Snafu, as well as the intended one for SAO, if we're going with the web novel context. ReZero also made its return to much fanfare, and so did the Fire Force, to a bit lesser fanfare though. We also saw what the bottom of the abyss looked like in GBA. I mean, seriously, what was up with that? It's an absolute joke, and I was really excited for it too, you know. Oh, and summer also saw the debut of the ever-polarizing Rent-A-Girlfriend. Hot take, but I feel it's overhated. Not an amazing show in my opinion, but it also doesn't deserve to be treated like a punching bag like a lot of people are doing to it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a junk food show that has
Is it
some
really that
merits,
bad?
and very attractive designs that pretty much are a major reason people continue to watch and buy the merchandise of the show. And if you miss the good old days of transfer student entering magic school and immediately flexes his power before gaining a harem, Misfit of Demon King Academy is here for you. Only this time, everything gets turned up to 100, and it took the parody approach akin to One Punch Man. It makes a good compliment to God of High School, the next in line for the popular webtoon turned anime thing they did. I still think that Tower of God is better, and it's overall the most complete show. For God of High School, the fights are great, but its pacing's a little bit all over the place. My pick for this season then is none of those. Instead, I'll look to something more Western in aesthetic. I'm talking about Great Pretender.
So far,
Watching
there's
it was
some
a
really
thrilling
good
adventure
picks.
that always had me on the edge of my seat wanting more. It's artistic in the truest sense of the word, especially for anime standards, and its unique atmosphere did catch a lot of people's attentions back then. It's perfect if you want something new and to have some distance away from the typical anime get-up of schools, teenagers, and supernatural powers. For fall 2020, let's just cut to the chase, shall we? Whether it's the perspective of shonen fans or not, it's undeniable that Jujutsu Kaisen utterly dominated this season.
I mean,
The show burst
it
into
is
the
great,
scene, and while
you
not
know.
having the same impact as, say, Demon Slayer in 2019, I'd say that Jujutsu Kaisen even had that show beat in some categories. I mean, ultimately, Jujutsu Kaisen is an exciting
This guy's
shonen
so
that
good.
everyone should at least give a shot, and it
Season
combines
2 coming out.
interesting powers, unpredictable character
Soon.
dynamics, and insane fight animation. Three things that action anime fans absolutely love. But let's not forget to give some love to the other stars of the season. For people who love sweet, romantic shows, there's Tonikaku Kawaii. Akudama Drive also managed to carve its legacy midway through its run, being this season's Western-like sci-fi show. And in a similar vein, but in a less full-throttle fighting sense, but more of a philosophical, moralistic perspective, we have Moriarty the Patriot. And how can we forget Wandering Witch, an enjoyable, fantastic adventure? While it's not as popular
That
by
was a
any
good
stretch,
season.
I also found myself liking Kimi-sen, and I was more than happy to know that it's getting a second season, which was a complete surprise considering how niche the show was.
That was a good season for anime. Winter 2021. 2021. 2021.
And that wraps up 2020. While we ended the year on an uncertain note as far as the world and the industry went, there was so much more to be excited for in 2021. For one, the biggest sequels await at the year's very doorstep as we opened the year with AOT's final season. Yeah, back then we all thought it was going to be one grand finale before they started chopping the broadcast repeatedly, but it became a joke. And there was the much-awaited sequel to Promised Neverland,
that.
something that, in hindsight, is better left buried deep in the annals of history as nothing but a minor footnote. Winter 2021 did introduce
Mushu
the world
is
to
so
IP
underrated, I
Mushoku
swear.
Tensei.
I
Mushoku
love it.
Tensei in anime form is a true testament to how great an anime can be if it gets the love and care of the anime production team backing it up. One of the best adaptations in recent memory, it's also one of the most influential ones in the novel side of things. You can clearly see how it became a pioneer to one of the most popular and notorious genres out there. And when it comes to the aspect of character growth and world building, it's hard to find an isekai anime that's a match for Mushoku Tensei. Personally, I'd also like to give a shout out to Skate Infinity from this season, one of the notable sports shows of the year. Being someone who enjoyed self-help rom-coms, Tomozaki was another show that completely caught my eye. I got what I bargained for in that show with a brand of comedy that really clicked with me. Speaking of Tomozaki, Horimiya also aired this season, and it ended up being one of my
Yeah, this guy
favorite
really
romance
likes
shows out there.
rom-coms. I'm definitely more of like an action
Past
adventure kind
winter
of
comes
watcher.
spring, and spring ended up being really stacked in terms of new anime. Right off the bat, we have the fan favorite Tokyo Revengers making their debut. Time travel, gritty fights, no shortage of drama, and a lot of attractive characters. No wonder Tokyo Revengers became one of the most popular new shows
I
out
mean,
there.
they are
This
kinda
is
hot.
evident if you look at the
Not gonna
merchandise
lie.
being produced and sold in anime stores, especially in Japan. VV also aired in this season, and it got my pick for original anime of the season. It's a show filled with intense action, and it has quite a social commentary and great music to boot. Speaking of those elements, there's also 86. The mecha and sci-fi genre just seems to have a knack for delving into social commentary as the
think
two
we've
mentioned
seen
titles.
86.
86
Like
for
some
me
clips
is
of it.
also a show that is notably strong in terms of character dynamics. Flanked by the musical genius of Hiroyuki Sawano, this sure gets a
Nice.
nomination for anime of the season. But ultimately, my pick is Odd Taxi.
Bro, he's got great music.
A strange pick if you just look at the cover art and the overall feel of the show. True, it may not be as thematically deep as the two sci-fi titles, and it may not get your adrenaline pumping the way Tokyo Revengers does. However, I think that in a vacuum, Odd Taxi is a stroke of genius. It tells its story in a unique way, having many plot points intertwined and left for the audience to follow. It is a brilliant show that may have skeptics looking at it twice, and it may not be for everyone, but I heartily recommend it for those wanting an experience you'd never thought you'd find in an anime. Before we leave spring 2021 behind, I'd like to give a shout out to Higehiro, a show that ended up being one I really loved, mainly due to the character development. Yoshida's relationship with Sayu in the show is something else, and it's a show that made me want to root for both of them. And while I won't be recommending Osamake, I would say that it's a guilty pleasure show for me, mainly for the voice actor cast that featured my favorites and its cute character designs.
Interesting.
So in comparison, summer 2021 felt more muted. There's not a lot of blockbusters coming, and while I enjoyed Detective Is Already Dead, the show is admittedly flawed in a lot of ways. One of the most anticipated titles from the season ended up having a lukewarm reception by the end, and it's easy to see why. I'm at least glad season 2 has been announced, but understandably, not a lot share my enthusiasm. Realist Hero, Remake Our Life, and Spirit Chronicles are also titles that I liked. However, none of these three really set the world on fire, and they're nowhere near anime of the season for me too. Vanitas has a better shot at taking home the crown, being a spiritual successor to Pandora Hearts and having a setup that evokes feelings of Bungo Stray Dogs or Black Butler. It's the show that female fans absolutely adored, and it boasts awesome music and great characterization, the latter which is a trademark of series creator Jun Mochizuki. If you were to ask me of my vote for this season, however, I'll take you to the world of Chinese animation and give a vote for Link Click. Many consider it the sleeper hit of the season, and I am inclined to agree.
Interesting
it's
choice.
An interesting story of time travel backed with breathtaking art filled with a signature flair and style. True, for people who watch things like Steins Gate, Link Click's plot is not exactly innovative or unique. However, for those who are up for a sci-fi time travel story and want something new and with different vibes from the typical anime, then Link Click is my recommendation. Fall 2021's crown is for Ranking of Kings to lose. While many people overlooked it because of the childish art style, Ranking of Kings easily became everyone's favourite as early as halfway through the season. An underdog story done right, it's an anime that contains a lot of strong themes and moral lessons. It's not every day that you see a show look so simple, yet contain some of the best character writing and memorable moments that cut deep. If you're looking for
it's actually got a kind of nice
of any sort, then you can't go without at least
and specific art style that I like.
On the action side of things though, I'd love to give shout-outs to both Aristocrat Assassin and Tact Op. Both ended up being a lot better than I expected given the stigma that people have for their respective genres, isekai and mobile game promotional anime. Blue Period also made its debut this season for the most artistic fans who need a stroke of inspiration. Lastly, how could we forget Gomi? One of the most popular school comedies finally got its much-awaited anime adaptation, and I tell you what, it didn't disappoint. On a slightly similar note, we also got the Meruko anime, which I also liked a lot despite the surprisingly heavy amount of anime fan service for the supposed nature of the show. We're just halfway through, but if you like what you've been seeing so far, why don't you hit that like button up there? And with that done, let's continue as we've got a lot more anime to talk about.
Winter 2022.
2 episodes. 2 episodes is all it took for My Dress Up Darling to steal everyone's hearts in the winter 2022 season.
It was so big.
That's why I'm putting it as my top pick for winter 2022. In a season full of blockbuster sequels, My Dress Up Darling ended up being a standout show that pretty much has everything you want from a rom-com. An attractive main character, a lot of fluffy and cute moments in between the fan service, and most importantly, great character chemistry. When people criticize power fantasy isekais for being wish fulfillment anime, post-2022 me could scoff because this show is the definition of wish fulfillment in my opinion. I don't mean that in a negative light, but it is undeniable that a lot of my anime fans, especially the socially awkward lot, would love a Marin in their lives. Charismatic, upbeat, attractive, and always supportive. We just can't get enough of her, can we? This season doesn't have a lot of big, popular new anime, unfortunately. There's RKB Sailor Uniform if you want another flavour of cute and light-hearted. For me, this show is most notable for how pretty it looks. The attention to animation and just how sparkly everything looks is something you gotta see to believe. Rust Ito Bisco, though, is this season's offering for the more action-adventure-orientated viewers. There's also Love of Kill to provide something for the same kinds of fans who want something less fantastical and more mature, more grounded in human drama and heavier themes. I was so excited for Requiem of the Rose King, but it's one of the titles that you're better off reading manga for.
Go read the fucking manga.
Spring 2022 followed, and with it came the much-awaited anime adaptation
Spy
of
X
Spy
Family.
Family. Spy Family is a true pleasure to watch. The hype is very much justified with it just hitting the right notes everywhere.
so
and being a
adorable,
show that I
man.
can easily turn on to unwind
Honestly.
with after a busy day at work. It's got a lovable
And it's
cast,
so
a lot
adorable.
of entertaining moments, and very wholesome dynamics. My personal nitpick, however, is that there's nothing forcing me to watch the episodes one after another. It's a show that I do enjoy watching, no doubt, but there's nothing to convince me to keep flipping to the next episode, if you catch
Yeah.
my drift. Sure, it comes with the genre,
I didn't even
but it's still a
finish
very
it.
minor yet relevant nitpick that holds the show back ever so slightly for me. On the contrary, my pick for this season, Summertime Render, gave me all the reasons to keep watching until I found myself binging half of it in one go. It's a show that has everything you'd ask for from something in this genre. Mystery, action, more twists and turns to keep the plot going just when you thought the good guys had won.
Yeah.
Think something like ReZero,
Spy
but
Family
with
is
way
good,
higher stakes and tension
but
thanks to its genius twist to
slightly
Shinbei's
overhyped,
timely
maybe.
powers. 25 episodes is all it takes to satisfyingly wrap up what I would consider anime of the year. Following the success of My Dress Up Darling, we have Shikimori. I like the show, I mean I really do, but it just doesn't capture the magic of its supposed predecessor. Still, you can give it a try if you like the genre enough. The same can be said of Couple of Cuckoos, which I liked as well. Before leaving this season behind, we can't ignore the
Yes!
sleeper hit of the season. Your boy Kong Ming came in with little fanfare, but it ended up being one of the most popular anime of the season. There's just something with the main characters that makes you want to root for them so much. Aiko's dilemma is something I'm sure a lot of us can relate
And it's
to,
got good
following
music.
her on her road to success is inspirational, if anything.
Summer 2022.
Summer 2022's lineup didn't feel as stacked. You got much awaited sequels for Classroom of the Elite, Made in Abyss, and Devil is a Part-Timer, and a not as anticipated one for Rent a Girlfriend. Looking at it from the original anime side of things, nothing truly stood out entering the season, however. Once the dust settled, I'd say the season did well enough for itself. Call of the Night, I'd say, was the most hyped one entering the season. For all it's worth, it was one of the
Definitely.
best new anime of the season, featuring breathtaking art and great overall direction, although the characters can indeed be hit or miss. Uncle from Another World is also a noteworthy show. It's really funny with its meta humor, but it also had a troubled production. That doesn't matter now, but imagine how us fans felt a year ago when the next episode just wouldn't come out. A show that came out of nowhere, however, was Licorice Recoil. While people didn't think of it much before airing, it ended up being everyone's favorite this season. This is largely due to the simple yet thematically strong plot, the extremely entertaining characters, and how it blends the light-hearted moments with genuinely emotional moments. It's
I
a
would
show
like to
that
see when there's like anime that's not supposed to be good anime, or like people are not really hyped for it, and then it's actually really good. That's
if you're
like
comfortable with and care so much about the characters, and that's something you don't get to see often. And I
Nice to
won't
see, like,
pretend
the
that Gojima's
underdogs.
praise for the show didn't at least give some extra push to make still skeptical fans tune in. Licorice Recoil may as well be my pick for the season, but I'd give the slight edge to Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk.
Edgerunners. I've lauded modern video game adaptations, and Edgerunners probably is the best example of it. From the art to the action that keeps you wanting more, it's my recommendation. This is especially for people who aren't yet too attuned with the overall anime aesthetic or style to enjoy Licorice Recoil.
It definitely
as much.
has
Trigger
a
does
lot
it
more of
again.
like a
That's
Western
not
look.
surprising, honestly speaking, is it? As a final footnote though, I'll shout out the other shows that I liked from this season. My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex, as well as Engaged Kiss. Nothing too special, but nevertheless enjoyable for me.
the season. Fall 2022.
We close out 2022 with the fall season, and what a season this was. Make no mistake, Chainsaw Man was by far one of the most anticipated
Alright.
shows
The most hyped. It was good. It was a good anime, right? But I feel like a lot of people didn't actually like it.
entering a season. Said anticipation was so strong that around this time, you just couldn't avoid seeing people hyping up Chainsaw Man to be one of the best action anime out there. If you're looking at it from a fight, hype and animation perspective, the show didn't disappoint. It's my recommendation for you action-loving fans. For those who love exciting battles, unhinged violence and eye-popping animation, then this
I
is
liked it.
definitely the one for you. However, an easy path to domination by Chainsaw Man was stopped by Bocce the Rock of all
Yep.
shows. It was an underdog show that took the anime world by storm
love Bocce
thanks
the
to
Rock.
its relatable characters and it being a cute girl show that places a lot of importance on the music aspects and character growth. A good balance of serious and light-hearted moments
And the
as well as
animation
very
is
great
cool.
pacing make Bocce the sleeper hit of the season and a very strong anime of the season candidate for me. I found it funny that Chainsaw Man found an unlikely rival in this plucky show that comes from a genre that's way different. Let's not forget the other hits of the season though. There's Blue Lock, which gives us a new and
True,
less
true.
idealistic approach approach to the sports genre. Then there's Eminence in Shadow. Meme energy supreme, the show is just the right amount of craziness you'd expect from an overpowered protagonist title that works as a parody of the genre. Witch from Mercury gives us a much needed breath of life to the Gundam franchise, and I had fun with Akiba Maid War as well as reincarnated as a sword.
Winter 2023. The disappointment.
Finally, we reach 2023. The start of 2023 has been, okay. I haven't seen any new anime that set the world on fire yet, but it's got some nice shows to keep the positive momentum from 2022 going. Angel Spoils Me Rotten is this season's sweet and charming show for those wanting that kind of series. On a somewhat similar note, we have Tomo-chan is a Girl and Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible for more entertaining rom-coms. And while they're nowhere near popular enough to be considered notable shows, I have my share of personal guilty pleasures from this season, including Ice Blade Sorcerer, High Card, Reborn to Master the Blade, and Spy Classroom. If I were to pick an anime recommendation from the season, I would have gone for Nier. It's good, but it's cursed by terrible production circumstances. Therefore, I'm going to give the title this season to Trigun Stampede. Yes, I know it's not exactly the Trigun 90s fans loved. It felt different in all sorts of ways despite practically telling the same story. It does look different and all, and the approach is to make a much more character-driven story as opposed to the plot-driven 90s story. Trigun Stampede
Definitely nice
didn't
3D look
exactly
to it
take
though.
the anime world
Not
by
everyone's
storm, but considering
cup of
that
tea, I
the
guess.
original version was a cult classic, albeit a very notable one, the current version's reception is just on par with expectations. For someone looking for something to try, however, I eagerly recommend giving this one a shot. You know what, it's been a pleasure going through the past few years and talking about some of my favourite anime since then. So how did you find my past 3 years in recap? Any other shows that you'd love to recommend? I'm waiting. If you enjoyed the list,
that was
you can go
actually
ahead
a really
and
good
check
video.
out some of my
I like
previous
that.
videos. That way you can join me in taking a trip down
That's so
memory
good.
lane or laughing at past me for being excited in the pre-season videos for shows that ended up underachieving. Either way, I'm glad to have you guys here and I truly appreciate the support. Thank you for watching and staying.
Let's
And I
go.
appreciate those likes and subscriptions too. Hope to see you again next time.
Alright guys, that'll be it for the video. Obviously, the original is down in the description. I think these are definitely quite, you know, I think these were really good choices for the 3 years. But yeah, I guess you can let me know in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. See you guys next one. Take care. Much love. Stay safe. Peace.